Don't we just believe the things that we want to? I had an atheist friend recently say to me, you Christians, the reason you believe is you just read Christian stuff and you just read the arguments that support your position, you ignore anything to the contrary, and that's why you're a Christian. Now, that's actually a really good question, and my atheist friend had put his finger onto an actual real psychological phenomenon. It's called confirmation bias, and it's the tendency that we have as humans to believe things that align with what we already believe and to ignore evidence to the contrary. Perhaps a sort of light-hearted example, a few years ago, my wife and I were in the market for a new second-hand car because our old banger had died, and I really wanted a red car and she really wanted a blue one. And so we got into this little sort of argument as we were driving somewhere one day that we would start counting the red and blue cars that we saw, and whoever got the highest number would win and would get the second-hand motor of their choice. And at the end of the drive, I was utterly convinced I'd seen almost nothing but my colour, and she was almost convinced she'd seen nothing but her colour, despite the road being littered with examples, because we just looked for the thing we wanted, and we were guilty of confirmation bias. It also comes into politics. If you are, mad keen on one particular political position, when you read the newspaper, articles that support your party, that support your viewpoint, that support your candidate, you will read those and devour those. You'll think they're great. You'll share those on social media. You'll be disinclined to even look at, or certainly you'll start dismissing articles that disagree with you. And confirmation bias is all over politics. And it's over bigger questions too, like religion. Yes, it's very easy as a Christian to never consider anything that challenges my faith. It's very easy just to read Christian books and hang out with Christian friends and never think about people different to me. Yes, that can be a challenge, but it's a challenge for atheism too. It is very easy as an atheist to dismiss all religious people as stupid, to only watch videos from your favourite atheist authors, to only read atheist books, watch atheist TV shows, and never really even engage with the fact that there are thoughtful Christians on the other side of the discussion who might might challenge you slightly. So how do we overcome confirmation bias, whether we are Christians or atheists or whatever? 2 bits of advice. Firstly, get some people in your friendship circle who think differently to you. If all you have in your friendship circle are people who think like you, then what you have there is what we call an echo chamber. So if you're an atheist, make sure you hang out with some Christians from time to time, especially ones who can challenge you and push back a little bit and just make you think. And yes, if you're a Christian, don't just hang out with Christians. Hang out with people who think a little bit differently. They'll sharpen your thinking, and of course, from a Christian perspective, what a great mission field too. But one other thought as well, make sure you read widely. It's easy just to read, authors from your own side. Don't just do that. If you're a Christian, occasionally read a little bit more widely. Find out what others are saying. Maybe ask your atheist friends, what should I read? That would be a good, representation of your position. And if you are an atheist and you have never read a really good, solid Christian book written by an author who can really explain Christianity and answer your arguments well, then really, how confident are you in your atheism? But one last thought. I think it's interesting that built into Christianity is actually the very antithesis of confirmation bias. Because it occurs to me that all the first Christians were not inclined to automatically believe Christianity. They didn't go out looking for things to support the Christian faith because they were all Jewish. Most of the first Christians were Jewish. Even in the case of someone like the Apostle Paul, so adamantly Jewish, he was a persecutor of the early church. They didn't want confirmation bias. They were naturally inclined to believe Judaism. It functioned well for 1,500 years. But they were convinced, and they were convinced because they looked at the evidence, even though doing that was awkward. And Paul, in the letter to the Corinthians, chapter 1, actually talks about the cross of Jesus was actually really difficult. It was awkward. The Jews mocked it as a crazy idea, and the Greeks thought it was badass crazy. He says the cross is a stumbling block to Jews and foolishness to Greeks. But he believed it because he had examined the evidence and been confronted by the reality of Jesus and was not afraid to go and preach it. So whatever your beliefs watching this, make sure you read widely, hang out with others who think differently, but especially if you're an atheist, don't be a lazy atheist. Talk to Christians and know what they're doing, read widely, and see where the evidence leads you.